Matamata, not only is it one of the busiest training complexes in the country, but one of the best racing surfaces. And today, with 17 mils of rain overnight, we're now on a slow 8 track condition, and Brendan Popplewell is on track to take us through the card there today, the 9-race card with the feature race number 6, the listed Team Williams Matamata Cup. Morning, Brendan. How are things?
Good morning, Matthew. Yes, it's a little cold here, I can tell you that much for sure, out of Matamata. But yes, 9 races in front of us today. As you pointed out, that feature race being the listed Team Whelan's Matamata Cup. Gee, I must say there was some big numbers nominated for this race meeting. So even though we've had some scratchings throughout the day, a lot of these fields are holding up, and yeah, a lot of interest around the track condition. And speaking of the track, not too long ago, I caught up with John Otham and did ask him about just how much rain has fallen here over the last 24 hours and how the track could play out today.
Yeah, look, we've come off the back of a fairly dry period, so I guess earlier in the week the track was getting pretty firm, but been 48 mils in the last couple of days, so certainly that's had an effect on the track. I think it was about 17 mils overnight as well, so it's come up that slow 8 this morning. There was 8 horses galloped up on it, and that was the general feeling from the riders. Talking to Graham Stiles, and I guess my own opinion after walking the track, it probably, if anything, might be a little bit on the worst side of that. So certainly with the big fields we've got today, they'll get into the track a bit and I guess make a little bit of a mess.
Yeah, they probably will. All right, well, let's just quickly talk about the Matamata Cup as well, John, today, our feature race. Anything come up in the report there we need to be notified about?
There was just a couple of there, 2 deals and heels just got basically taken out of the race halfway down in the group sprint at Hawke's Bay last week, so forget that run, and Sheriff going back to the second day at Hawke's Bay. Probably most people saw that, but certainly a real black book. I had no luck at all and was steaming home when it was all over.
All right, there's John Otham. Stephen Hunt, will come to you now. Since we spoke at the top of the show, any significant moves?
We had a $1,000 bet on Danielle Johnson to take out the Hanui Farm Jockey Challenge, Matt, at a $2.90 favourite price tag, Danielle. So she's got a key booking, a lot of Stephen Marsh runners. In the first is around Vanami. Vanami in that third line of betting has been the best back runner, just purely down to dollars invested. But it's very competitive in those top 3, Grand Eagle, Harbourside and Vanami. If I could give you a lead on a pike runner, Harbourside holds 3 times more money than Grand Eagle, but multi suggests Grand Eagle. So look, all I can say is there's a reasonable even spread between those top 3 in the market. A little bit of specking around Suspense. Treaty will have to get across from a wide gate, do a bit of work, but there's been a bit of specking during the week, got as high as 11, now trading at 8, and a bit of specking on our Katie Cruz 21 and Mr. Bazamore, who does have some rain affected form at 26.
Okay, Liz's Gift, the 9, expected to punch forward out of its barrier draw. Brendan, Vern and me, you and I were working that Wednesday at Matamata when Stephen Marsh told us that he had a nice 3-year-old. This is him. What do you make of him with side winkers on today, up and trip?
Look, both are key factors, aren't they, Matthew, to him being a chance in this race. Probably the thing that I don't like is that he's getting himself on a slow track again. I think with what we see here, he's awkwardly placed away on the rail, and that was a concern for Stephen Marsh heading into this race because he had a good draw. He wasn't a horse that were going to sort of punch out and just be dominant and be the best horse in the race. So, look, I think he just struggled to just pick his feet out of this ground and really show his turn of foot. So that's an issue here today, isn't it? With it being a slow 8 this afternoon, and that was a slow 7 when last time to the races. But he's had a run to the races. He has a chance to be able to be sharpened up with some side winkers on, and the more distance is going to help his horse's chances. This is a very unlucky run, though, from last time to the races with Harbourside. Look, if this horse on the outside isn't laying all over Harbourside, you'd almost say that this horse wins the race. Obviously got promoted into second position with that run of Takia and Nageta laying all over that runner in Harbourside, who finished into second spot. Got in front of it in the inquiry room to finish into second position. Did Harbourside. Look, that's the one I ended up leaning for in the race in the end, runner number 12 in Harbourside, in front of Grand Eagle. Just with that rain that's fallen with Vern and me, look, like the horse a lot, and you've really got to trust the judgment of Stephen Marsh, just the query on the track conditions, and I think we're going to be playing that line a number of times here this afternoon, and also through the 2 into the mix and Suspense, who did a nice job here when last presented to the races. First of the day, though, I am liking the chances of Harbourside. Matthew?
Okay, like your thoughts there, Brendan. Over to race number 2 we go now, and Baker Forsman runner in here goes by the name of Charlie Rose, runner number 8, $4.40 and $1.80. Stephen Hunt, as we come to you to talk about Charlie Rose, is there any lead, any smart money around the 8?
Yeah, there is. Look, I think she's kind of already found her mark at $4.40, Matt, has to be said. Look, she leads multis and purely dollars invested. She is the highest ranked in this particular field, Charlie Rose, but not getting out of control where we're going to move the price in any time soon. They are speaking a couple. Dream On, which I mentioned at the top of the show for the James Wellwood stable, $8 top fluck this morning, now at $7. A couple they're speaking also with this rain around during the week in the last 48 hours. Moral Mac first up, $18 into 12, and also Like a Warrior, 25 into 13. So they are speaking a couple in the middle market, but Charlie Rose, best back runner in a competitive race.
Okay, Brendan Popplewell, Felix Filwar expected to punch forward. You're with the Ballymore runner though, Sound Works. What did you like about it?
Well, gee, I think the track conditions bring her into this race, Matthew. Look, her run last time to the races last Friday certainly was very good, finishing 3 lengths off them into 4th position. She's shown some bits and pieces of form as well on top of the ground, this horse. You go back to a day when she won a super race over the Ellerslie Carnival in a $50,000 rating 65. But what she has shown is that when she can get her toe in the ground is when she is at her best. She showed that when she won at this venue, Tauranga, through the autumn. It was in January when she did win. And was able to get her toe into the ground on a dead 6-track condition. She also showed it in Australia as well when she was able to win on slow and heavy track conditions. Jack Bayliss knows the horse really well. I thought off the back of that run last time to the races, looks like she might be at a sort of an each-way backable price at $7.50. Here's DeConning, who put in a big run last time to the races behind Kiji Express. This was out of Taupo. Of course, the winner of this race is, a nice 3-year-old from the Baker Forsman team, and was able to use this race as a chance to just get things back on track. But got to like the way that he finishes off this race at DeConning into that 2nd spot, who really winds up late in the piece. And here's Charlie Rose. Look, the Charlie Rose video is a nice video to look at for 2 horses. Obviously, her finishing into 3rd position. But one of the roughies in the race, and Maud went a very good first up run to finish into 4th position in this race. Look, this is a horse who ends up finishing into 4th position. He gets down to 52 kilos, Maud at the back of the field in the Karen Zimmerman colours. But this is Charlie Rose doing its best work out wide to finish into 3rd position over the 1,400 metres. Gets up to 1,600 metres. Digging the track's going to help her chances as well. And you can see why this horse has been supported. Look, a race where you can go a number of different ways, though. But I was happy to have an each-way investment in this race, Matthew, around Soundworks. Runner number 5. Just thought she might have been a nice chance with the yielding track conditions.
Thanks, Brendan. On to the 3rd we go now. GNS Mackenzie Limited Bulk Transport. This over 1,400 metres, and $3.20 here for Sister Beale, $5 Decade. Stephen Hunt, as we bring you in for the 3rd.
They want to be on Sister Beale. Just not sure the slow 8 track conditions. Just stifle betting on the number 7, Matt, in particular this morning on Sister Beale. That 320 could easily hold up or could even drift throughout the morning, depending how the track plays in the first 2 or 3 races around Sister Beale. Decades in that second line, very solid at $5. John Wick looks to be an obvious pace setter, 3-year-old contesting against older horses, currently a losing result at $11. And Direct Capital, one of the best backed in a middle market up and down the race card at Matamata today, 26 on opening this morning. It's now trading as short as $13, Direct Capital.
Okay, ValachiDowns.co.nz bringing you the Punters Lounge live this morning, and John Wick out of barrier number 2 with a bit of gate speed here, Brendan.
Yeah, loves to scoot and run, does John Wick, and that's where that horse is best favoured, the 3-year-old, to be sort of trying to use that gate speed and get into the race. Look, Stephen makes some pretty good points there around Sister Beale. Look, I do like the horse, but I have massive queries now on the track condition, rated a slow 8 for her. I think if this track condition had held into that dead bracket, would have been pretty keen to make on my best this afternoon. Look, this is a very good run. I mean, this is a horse who gets back last. Is a race won by 1 Baker Street. It's Ruakaka with her up front and winning, as we see so often. And this horse makes lengths on them here from the back of the field to Sister Beale. So this is 1,200 metres. She goes to 1,400 metres and really gets into her work late in the piece. But, yeah, not sure now about sort of trying to dive into any sort of price. Yeah, and you can see why punters are keen to get amongst direct capital. I've got it at my numbers as well, actually. This horse gets 4 kilos off, drops back in grade from 72 to 65, and doesn't mind the dig in the track. That horse is a massive player in this race, direct capital, runner number 2. Gazara is a horse who does step up from the midweek maiden win, but did it nicely, though, from an outside gate to be a chance here. Certainly appreciated the slow 7 when last presented to the races, and Decades is another horse who can be a hope as well. I did like Sister Beale. Maybe let's just get a bit of a line on how these track conditions are playing out each way on the 2 direct capital.
Okay, we go to race number 4 now, and Not a Bad Idea heads up the top of the book here, taking on Dawn Patrol, who was very good first up, $3.60, $3.80 for Not a Bad Idea. Stephen Hunt, 2 horses that shouldn't mind the slow 8 track conditions.
Yeah, fascinating race. A lot of these horses wanting to stamp their quality heading into possibly Guineas clashes later on in the campaign. Dawn Patrol, $3.60 favourite on present. Not a bad idea. Best bet runner this morning, even though Dawn Patrol held the most amount of money during the week. So there's a change of the tide here around Not a Bad Idea and Dawn Patrol. I wouldn't be surprised if number 1, Not a Bad Idea, knowing that it has slow 9 or slow 8 track conditions in its CV where it's proven in the past, could start favourite later on this afternoon. Not a Bad Idea, and rip him up. Wouldn't be surprised if that jumped a ladder and finished in that second line of betting, and possibly Dawn Patrol finishing in that third line of betting come close. So there's a bit of action to happen between those top 3 in the market. Outside that, it's quite friendly. So a lot of action around Dawn Patrol, Not a Bad Idea, and also rip him up in a nice 3-old 1400.
Yeah, rip him up coming off the back of a length and a quarter second behind Bit Lippy last start. It's by Rip Van Winkle as well, so you'd imagine track conditions shouldn't be too unfavourable. Daughter of Jimmy Shoe, Nulli Secundus, with a bit of speed out wide here. Brendan, how did you assess race 4?
Yeah, look, she's a horse who's got that outside gate, and she's a horse who's actually run some nice races for Nick Bashar and some really strong races of late. Obviously, you go back through that melt form one a couple of times with her. Blue on Black's a horse who possibly could punch up as well, who did that last time to the races. Not a Bad Idea. Look, this is the horse who ran second, and a desperately close second as well in the Wanganui Guineas. This was off the back of a win over 1,000 metres for the son of highly recommended at Taupo when sitting back and getting over the top of them, 1,100 metres should I say, when he did win his maiden on debut. And you can see him here putting in some big strides out wide, trying to chase down Bobby Dazzler, and it looked like he was going to get that momentum up to win the race. But what you can take from it is he's gone enormous in stakes company. He's having his 3rd run in. He's going to get track conditions to suit, and he's got himself a lovely barrier draw as well. Not a bad idea. I can see this horse, as Stephen said, potentially getting into favouritism off the back of those 2 runs. Let's have a look at the runner who created a lot of interest here in a midweek meeting off the back of his trials. He was super at the trials with the way that he won his last trial at Cambridge, sitting midfield and just powering over the top of them. Got to love the way that this horse, once he cleared some traffic and got himself moving, he was too good for his opposition here. Second horse is not too bad in this race in Arrogant, so look, it's not the worst maiden race that he is winning, and that horse out wide and flashing over into 3rd position probably wins a maiden next start. So that's a nice maiden field that he has beaten there, Dawn Patrol, and Opie Boston takes the ride today. He's got some massive wraps on him as that horse, and is the tote favourite and fixed favourite at the moment. Then you get to rip him up. This horse went to Avondale last time to the races, and look, took on some quality here. You consider the horses like Bit Lippy, who was good enough to be a stakes winner last season. Nirvana and Fire's been able to pick up the wins as well. And this horse, Rip 'em Up, does all her best work late in the piece, even though she was pretty keen to, once she got out into the clear air, did a couple of things wrong. She wanted to get her head to the side, but what you could see from that is that she is a horse that has got the talent, as she showed in her Cambridge trial win before going into that race. I do like the chances of Not a Bad Idea. Look, he is a horse that is at $41 for the 2,000 guineas. The horse who did win this race last year was Tiakau Shark, who then used that as a stepping stone towards the 2,000 guineas, where he did finish into 4th position. Put the 1 on top in front of the 3, Dawn Patrol, and massive respect around the filly in the race, Matthew, and rip him up.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's won a trial around Cambridge, and then you see the horse just a little awkward there at Avondale, going left-handed once again today. Surely a positive around the Go Racing runner. On to race number 5 we go now, the Comag Limited 1600, Blue 22 and Kate Cowan for Jim Collitz, $5 and $2.10. Pacquiao to be ridden by Michael Coleman, $6.50. And Cutting Up Rough, runner number 5 with the 4 kilos off, $7 and $2.50. The tote tells us Pacquiao, Stephen Hunt. What are you going to tell me about race number 5? Is there any lead for the punters?
Best bet this morning has been Blue 22. Remains in the same grade when winning on this track a few weeks back on Blue 22. $5 from an opening fluck of $6. So well supported number one in the book in front of Pacquiao at $6.50. That remains solid from its opening line. Cutting up rough, we had a bet of $1,000 yesterday afternoon at $8, now trading at $7 on cutting up rough. Jian Kwa. Now there's plenty of spruik and talk about this horse. Might be the local special to get on during the day. Jian Kwa. Second up, Tiakau. Jamie Richards does the training here and does have wet track form. Could have got us high during the week, $12. It's now trading that single figure line, $9. And a little bit of speaking on Manhattan Flame at 16s. But Jian Kwa, BP, have you been tapped on the shoulder while being on track this morning?
No, I haven't actually. There's no one here yet, Stephen, but when I did get here, but don't worry, I'll be going around and searching for you to be able to see if that horse is ready to rock and roll second up, because we saw enough last campaign, didn't we, in Opie's aboard that runner. Look, this is a race where there's some speed, isn't there? You jump, I jump, can go forward. Tweedledee's another horse who can take a position. Look, Motu Man's probably a horse who can go forward maybe over longer distances. Maybe Fresh Up, it could be a part of that early speed battle. Could play into the hands of a horse like Cutting Up Rough, though, as well, with all that tempo. That horse drawn in barrier number one. Not surprised that there has been support for that horse with 4 kilos coming off the back with Ashwin Gundasamy doing the riding. Look, here's You Jump, I Jump. I thought this horse could be a chance around here again to try and pinch it. This is a horse who's really improved this season for Joe Waldron. This was last Friday on a good 3 surface where the horse led them up and it took them... this horse really stuck on gamely to finish into 3rd position, a race that was won by Ticket to Ride. So, look, he's going to give you a sight. He's going to go around at $14, $15, and I just like his chances here today at a big price. If he's going to be in front, that means that Cutting Up Rough gets a great chance to be able to sit in behind the tempo, and like when winning at Taupō, was able to come underneath runners and get the win with Ashwin Gundasamy aboard. Like those 2 horses each way, the 13 and the 5, and I suppose we better go and find out if Chiangua is ready to rock and roll as well, Matthew.
Yeah, nice one, Brendan. Thank you. Race number 6, we go to the Matamata Cup, the Team Whelan's Matamata Cup. This is listed level, demonetisation and sheriff, $3 a piece. Stephen Hunt, we had Roger James on a little earlier. You heard what he had to say about sheriff. What do you see happening to this market come 3 o'clock this afternoon?
Well, it's already starting to happen, Matt. During the week, it was all about sheriff when the track was a good 3 dead 4 on the Thursday and Friday. Opened $2.90, got as short as $2.70, and that included a $5,000 bet at the opening line at $2.90 on Thursday afternoon. But it's all been about demonetisation this morning, now that the track's come up a slow 8, and I wouldn't be surprised if this horse started favourite, meaning that Sheriff's $3 line at the moment could drift, and demonetisation could start under that $3 line later on this afternoon. Richie McCourse was well supported during the week, but look, he's not starting here, so there's not too much to talk about him. Outside that runner, there's really not too much to speak of other than the 8% deduction on Richie McCourse this morning. So any bets prior, you'll get that deduction during the week. So best bet runner now is demonetisation, and that's held by a $17,000 bet this morning at $3.40.
Okay, Nigel Retz going with Matamata here with Petit Enjeu with a bit of speed. But Brendan, is it a 2-horse race, or is there something else that you see that could upset the apple cart?
Look, Matthew, I think these 2 horses are Group 1 horses. Demonetisation, I wouldn't be surprised if he even won a Group 1 this season. Look, he is a horse who has got it in spades, and so is Sheriff. The thing against Sheriff today is potentially these track conditions, but look, they need to sort of try and keep this program going for him. But demonetisation, we've seen him last campaign win the Auckland Guineas in track conditions that were a slow 7. It was disastrous conditions, wasn't it, when he did win that Auckland Guineas? And this is a run, well, heck, it's so good, isn't it, this run from Sheriff first up behind Mongolian Marshall, where he saves ground, and then once he gets out, gee, he gets into his work nice. He is a lovely horse, and even though he's not the finished article just yet, when it finally falls into place, as I said, he is a horse that is just got a good race somewhere in him. So, yep, look, they do look the 2, don't they, Matthew? And I'm leaning towards demonetisation with the cut in the ground. I did love his first up run, the way that he worked home over 1,200 metres at Pukekohe Park. Look, the other horse that probably needs some consideration in this race is Deals and Heels. Just so badly hampered when last presented at Hawke's Bay. When trying to get for that inside run, it just didn't happen for the horse. She clearly looked like she had something. Obviously, there was a horse out wide who put them away very quickly in the name of Tiakau Shark, but she could have played a part in somewhere being closer than where she was before she got hampered, and she will like these track conditions, Deals and Heels. Demonetisation for me, though, Matthew, and I have marked them as my best here today.
Yeah, it's probably the My Sky race of the day, isn't it? To see how those two horses go with a view to some spring Group 1s. Over we go, past the 10 Millions Matamata Cup to race number 7. It is the Russell and Yvonne Green Memorial over 1,200 metres. Rosa Carolina, 280 and 110 for Stephen Marsh and Danielle Johnson. One of many handy rides for her today, Stephen Hunt, hence the big bet on her in the Jockeys Challenge.
Absolutely, Matt, and big chance here on Rosa Carolina first up. Won't mind the fire out of the track. Not sure it will start favourite, even though it's at $2.80 and sitting in that top line in front of Midnight Runner at $3.20. Midnight Runner could easily start favourite from what I'm seeing. Holds 2 times more money than Rosa Carolina, and also heads the multis in progress as well, Midnight Runner. So maybe a little bit of a lead I can give there. Overall, it lacks a little bit of turnover, the rating 82 sprint. Sleeping Beauty, just wondering if it genuinely needs a heavy track, even though it's a slow 8 at present. It has been well supported at $5.50, but interesting runner going forward into the program, how the track plays around Sleeping Beauty. And a little bit of specking on Roll the Gold, who's trialled okay going to this race. Could have got double figures earlier today, now trading at $8.50.
Interesting runner in there as well with Glorious Beijing lining up. It's only won the 1 race from 3 starts, taking on some pretty handy animals here. Brendan Popplewell, how did you assess it?
Yeah, Glorious Beijing is an interesting horse. We didn't see that horse since the Wellington Guineas 2016. It's been 938 days off the scene, this horse, and did trial up quite nicely at Titeko into 4th position. Look, the winner of this race is in this race from last year. I speak of Sleeping Beauty. Does get some weight relief with Darren Dennis taking the ride aboard this horse, and will like the chance to be able to get her toe into the ground, Sleeping Beauty. Look, this is a horse when winning last year, beating Deals and Heels as well. So, look, it's a very similar track condition to being the slow 7, slow 8 bracket. She was able to get herself in front. She dominated the race, and Deals and Heels was able to work home late in the piece out wide. I can understand the money for the 6, though, at the same time as well. The Midnight Runner for Leith Innes and Rosa Carolina is a horse who did trial up nicely, sort of wasn't pushed too hard, travelled up under her own steam, and is a horse who has been stakes placed in Australia on wet ground. Yeah, intriguing little race, that one, but certainly the money flow around Sleeping Beauty, Midnight Runner and Rosa Carolina. Sleeping Beauty, maybe a chance here of maybe trying to play around that 5.5 mark for her, like in these track conditions.
Okay, race 8 is the Colchester Engineering Limited, rating 82 over the 2,000, gun down 380, $1.50. Matthew Cameron to do the riding aboard gun down. This one was beaten by Blue 22 first up, trialled up behind Nicoletta and Ocean Emperor before that. Baker Forsman, Matthew Cameron, is there much difference in terms of the weight of money between runners 3 and 11 here, Stephen, or is there something else catching your eye?
Solomon, as it tends to do, Matt, we have a trend around this runner. I think it has a big syndicate involved in this individual. A lot of money comes during the week on this runner. The money tends to dry up on race day around Solomon. Right as it stands at the moment, it holds 2 times more money than Gundown. But I'm pretty confident Gundown will start the best back runner later on this afternoon. Has Sheriff Form, which we've already spoken about that individual earlier in the program, at $3.80. Gundown in front of Solomon at $4.40, but I think it's found its mark there. The Graham Richardson runner. Divine Duke looking for 4 on the bounce, had a little bit of a freshen up. We'll appreciate any rain or any cut out of the ground, which we do have, a slow 8. But I'm still keen to risk Divine Duke today at $8, even though he's rewarded punters in the last 3 outings. A little bit of specking around Wooden Edge, as there happens to be most times. He goes round at $14. Roger That opened at 21, now trading at 16. So a bit of specking on Roger That. And also Switch in Time at $18 has had a few admirers. But best back runner, Solomon, but that will change later on this afternoon, I'm pretty confident.
Stephen, just before we get to Brendan, Podrick lining up in this race with the track conditions getting into that slow range now. He's around that $11 mark. Is that the sort of horse that some punters will be speaking through the day?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Matt. To be honest, a lot of these horses don't mind the given the track. So we've seen a few races that we've already touched on where maybe some of those favourites in that first, second, third line of betting are vulnerable on a slow weight. Where this race in market order looks to be fairly solid, where a number of runners appreciating that slow track. So I don't see too much change around a lot of these horses, even in that middle market round pod race. So at $11, I think that price will hold up throughout the day.
Okay, thanks for your assessment there, Stephen. Brendan, as we hand it over to you for race number 8 on the card, as Stephen has mentioned, it's a pretty even sort of a race. How did you go here?
I like Gundown. He's a nice horse, and with what he showed here last start, in terms of maybe not being quite ready for that race, he put in a heck of a run, didn't he? He carried the grandstand, Gundown. He carried 61 kilos in a race over 1,600 metres for rating 72. So he comes back. He's able to go back in the weights, obviously with him going up in grade today, and he gets himself more distance. I like his chances a lot here. This is his run here, and behind Blue 22, he got that nice spot, outside leader, and was able to get rolling at the right time. But he was the horse out of the race that you wanted to follow, wasn't it? And Gundown. It's been good enough to run second behind Sheriff in a Matamata Classic, also second behind Azzaboy in the Valachi Downs Championship Stakes. Mark the 11 on top, the son of High Chaparral. In front of the 8 in Divine Duke, the 3 Suleiman, and also the 1 in Athena Baby into my numbers as well, Matthew.
Okay, we round out the day with race number 9 on the card. It is the Matamata Veterinary Services Limited rating 65 over 2,000 metres. What's happening here, Stephen?
We accepted a $1,000 bet on Vainglory as soon as betting commenced yesterday afternoon on number 5. $1,000 at $5, now trading $4.40 top line. In front of Prince Jabil at $5. Fly to the Moon at $5.50, the local. Plenty of support around that runner. And Korokanui could have got as high as double figures. Big improver second up here according to Punters, now trading 9.
Okay, Brendan, your thoughts on the last?
Yeah, Vainglory's got some terrific form lines, doesn't it? Obviously running second behind Rough Cut, who's then come out and won on the first day of the carnival. Look, I really like that horse a lot, but gee, I'm taken by Fly to the Moon's run last time to the races as well, Matthew. This was first time over ground at Avondale, and this was on a dead fall surface for Fly to the Moon. Ran into 4th position. Has a good gate here today, and a chance to be able to get the toe in the ground, which we've seen for her, has been beneficial as well. So this is the runner Fly to the Moon when last presented to the races, working around horses, and the first time we saw her over ground, I thought she put in a terrific run. So chance to be able to just take a good spot from the barrier draw, maybe try and lob us position, just one off the rail, 5th or 6th position, and a chance to be able to try and round off her race. And the biggest threat that she'll be looking out for is the number 5 in Vainglory. Mark the 13 on top and Fly to the Moon in front of Vainglory. Didn't Al Jody give favourite punters a massive scare at Waipa? Of course, Aloe Lay went round at $1.50, and Al Jody backed up the trial run from Titeko to finish into 2nd position. Nice run from that horse, and Prince Jabil broke maidens in nice fashion out of Taupo when last presented. All right, best value and also our strategy for the day. My best bet, I'll go for demonetisation in the Team Whelan's Matamata Cup. Value bet throughout the afternoon. I'm going to go to the second race and do like the chances of Soundworks in race number 2. All right, let's have a look at the strategy, and we'll go with Soundworks in race number 2 as an each-way investment. We do like... Gee, there's a lot of gobbledygook on there, do like a few other chances, cutting up rough each way, and also you jump, I jump, also demonetisation as a win bet, and maybe Fly to the Moon as well in the last race. Hopefully you can try and break all that down and find that hidden code to see if we can find some winners here today, Matthew.
I was going to go for the glasses there, Brendan, but anyway, we'll get that up for you a little later on. Our apologies there.